kind of right back where they were last year, although coach, you weren't really a part of that. So this is all new for you. I guess, you've been around the hockey world. You played some NCAA, you played pro for a long time, you played in the NHL. What's it been like being part of the OHL playoffs in these full buildings with the intensity being what it is?
Yeah, it's everything I expected and thought it would be for me. Just getting to understand the OHL and the CHL and just the magnitude and the professionalism at a junior level. Obviously, all my teammates through the pro ranks just always gave them a hard time about how much fun I had in college and the experience I had compared to the CHL. And karma kind of came back and gave me a full dose of what is going on here. So it's such a great development league. I think it really does prepare all these kids for the next level. It's every regular season game is meaningful and a great environment, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of.
Unfortunately, now, coach, the players can experience the best of both, and I'm sure that's something that's well received by you.
Yeah, I'm a full supporter of that. Obviously, not till they're 21, but no, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's a great decision by hockey to allow Canadians and everybody to live the best of both worlds. In certain instances, guys need more time to develop, more time to grow into their bodies or to work on their game. And I think just at the end of the day, it's what's best for the game as a whole.
Ben, all business here. I know you guys came to this point last year and things didn't go the way you wanted, but a year can change a lot, right? You guys are all, for the vast majority of your team that's come back, you're all a year older, more experienced and stronger. How much do you think that benefits you guys coming into this series?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we did come up short last year. We didn't get the job done. But I think, we gained a lot of experience last year. And this year we went through, lots of ups and downs. We brought in some new pieces, guys that fit in right away. We have, a great group, really tight group. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to battle with anyone else other than, the guys in that locker room. So, I just can't wait to get started.
We'll take questions now. Of course, if you do have a question, you can feel free to use the raise hand function in the Zoom interface. Our first question this afternoon is going to come from Doug Boyd with Rogers TV. Doug, you can go ahead.
Coach, where did you see the turning point this season for this club?
Probably the trade deadline, to be honest. I think for me, just getting everybody inside the building full time, really getting to understand what we had and what we were as a team. And then just from there, trying to get the group together as much as possible, just to, build camaraderie away from the rink, getting to know everybody on a day-to-day basis. I thought that's really the turning point for us was once we kind of knew who was coming and who was going to be with us the rest of the year. I thought from there, for me, I saw a little bit of a tone change in terms of our approach on a day-to-day basis.
And for Ben, just talk about the rematch against London. What have you noticed from their team this season that will help you to get the ultimate goal, winning the championship?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had a great team last year, and they have quite a few returning guys just like us for this year. Yeah, I mean, they're a great team over there. I think we're a great team. I think it's gonna come right down to the wire. It's gonna come down to details and structure, and who wants it more. So it should be fun.
Thanks, Doug. Our next question will come from Brandon Caputo at the Armchair GM Sports Network. Brandon, you're live.
My first question's for Coach Malone. Coach, got to ask you about Owen Griffin because first round pick last year, sixth overall, and had a pretty good first season, full season, 51 points in 62 games, but leads your team in goals in the playoffs, 15 goals in the 16 games. Really exploded onto the scene here in the playoffs. What have you seen from his development and what's made him so successful in this playoff run so far?
He's just continuing to get better each and every day. I think for me, some of the opportunities and situations that we're putting him in really emphasize his strengths in terms of his finish ability, his IQ, his finishing ability. Sorry, around the front of the net. I just think for me, it started in training camp. The first day I saw him, I said, "This kid's a player." And then we talked about his offensive production last year, and obviously not the numbers that he wanted, but then you start looking at the analytics and, how well he defends for his size. I think people don't give him enough credit and talk about how well he defends. He's got a lot of top matchups. Other teams, when we're on the road, would always try and put their top line out against him and try and take advantage of him. Obviously, that was the case in the first couple of rounds as well. And clearly, by his offensive production, not just 5-on-5, but on the power play, he's kind of sending a message to the league that he's capable of matching up against the best in the league and producing and keeping up in terms of numbers.
And one for Ben. As the captain, you guys don't view yourself as underdogs, but you were the lower seed in the last two matchups against Brantford and Barrie in your playoff series, and then now going up against a team that's 12-0 in the playoffs. So, what's the mindset, and what do you kind of tell the guys in the room there as you've gotten through three good teams in Brantford, Barrie, and even Brampton before that to get to this point, and what gives you guys confidence that you can go up against a juggernaut team like London and give them a run?
Yeah, I feel like we have had probably one of the tougher schedules throughout the playoffs, and I think it's benefited our team a lot. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to change much. Right now we're rolling. We've won 8 games in a row. Yeah, I don't see ourselves as underdogs as well. I think when we're at our best and we're listening to the coaches and doing our structure and details right down to the wire, we can beat anyone. So I can't wait.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brandon. Our next question comes from Jack Moore with Oshawa Generals Radio. Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, speak to the resiliency of this team. I know a certain member who's asking a question right now has had some questions about the group throughout the year, and it seems like every pathway through the postseason, they've answered that with scoring a late goal, 6-on-5 in Game 3 against Barrie, the power play clicking, getting the offensive production. How have you seen this team grow in such a short amount of time in the playoffs, and where does that stem from?
Yeah, it's been a ton of growth. Stems from a lot of things. I really think bringing Mario on board has to be a factor. He's been instrumental in terms of just fine tuning and tweaking a couple of things in terms of my job and how I've approached things with this group. I think the maturity and then understanding for a lot of the guys on our team that this is their last crack at this thing. The guys that are returning obviously have a sour taste in their mouth. And then the guys that were brought in here were brought in to win. And they know that. I think the emphasis on what this postseason means for this group has been talked about all year, but to finally kind of get to the dance and start to act upon it, there was a huge change. Jack, you and I talked about it all year, just about, all the dress rehearsals that we had and all the learning lessons. And we are continuing to get better still, I believe. I think that's the one thing about this. This isn't the National Hockey League. This is still a development league. There's still room for these kids to grow on a daily basis. And that's the approach that we've taken all year and continue to do that during the playoffs.
And for Ben, you were named the 72nd captain of the organization at the start of the year. For a second year in a row, you're named the Eastern Conference's best defensive defenseman in the coaches poll. How have you seen that buy-in from the group, especially on the penalty kill and the defensive zone structure as the year's gone on? And do you feel like you're leading by example by your play on the ice?
Yeah, I feel like that's something that I think it headlines my strengths is my ability to defend. I mean we have so many leaders on our back end and guys who are willing to sacrifice and do whatever it takes to kill off a penalty, those type of things. So I feel like a lot more guys have throughout the year, and now especially in playoffs, everyone's buying into that, defense kind of first, and the offense will come. So yeah, I mean, I think it's been a huge aspect of the game for us to get the win every night. So
our next question comes from Ryan Pyette with the London Free Press. Ryan, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Josh. Congratulations, guys. Brad, you weren't brought in to do this job at the start of the year, but here you are, and you look like it's going pretty well. Were you nervous at the start? How long did it take you to make your mark and feel comfortable?
No, not nervous at all. Very comfortable. Always had a passion for teaching. My goal when I retired was to get into player development, to just try and help these kids, reach the ultimate goal of playing in the NHL and also staying. And for me, I thought that was the path. And the more I understood coaching in junior hockey, the more I realized is that I get to work with 25 guys on a daily basis that are all, goal oriented and focused on all reaching that same goal. So yeah, I'm teaching structure. I'm emphasizing, the details within the team game, but also, trying to help these young men all reach that ultimate goal. And, for me, it was a perfect fit and something I've really enjoyed.
Okay, and if I could ask Ben, just a kind of a two-part one. First is, how long did it take the guys to buy into, into Brad's message? When he got in this role, and then secondly was last year's final. Is it fuel or is it forgotten?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, right when Brad came into the team as not as the coach but as a development guy, he was great to us to have a younger guy that we could get really close with, and someone who was like that went through the whole process of getting to pro and playing in the NHL, and leaning on him for that that kind of advice and stuff, and him to help us on the ice and off the ice. It was huge for us. And then, yeah, when he was named coach, we were greatly, really happy. I mean, yeah, I think we bought in. I don't think it was, when we bought in. I think it was just as a team, just growing as a team throughout the year. Just, building, brick by brick. I think, like Bugsy said as well, like just every day we come to the rink and try and get better as a group, not just players, coaches, everyone. I think that's been a huge part for us, and we've got really tight over the year, so I think that's been huge for us. And sorry, what was your second question?
Yeah, just from last year's final, fuel or forgotten? Fuel for you guys or forgotten?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fuel. I mean, it's tough to forget something like that. I mean, we got to the dance and we didn't get the job done. But I think it was a good experience for us. We have that experience now, and yeah, I think it's fuel. We want to get the job done this year. Anything short of that, we're going to be very not happy, obviously. So yeah, we just want to get the job done.
Thanks, Ryan. Just a quick one for myself, for Ben. Chewing up minutes the way you do and playing in front of Jacob Oster as many nights as you have, going up against arguably the most dangerous offense in the league in this series. How important is he to your team? And, being a former goaltender of the year, I'm sure he instills a lot of confidence where maybe if somebody slips up, you've got a pretty good insurance policy behind you.
Yeah, I mean, Ozzy's been huge for us all year. I mean, he's a guy. He's nice to have, as a defenseman. If you mess up, he's always got your back, which is huge for us. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to see him perform in the finals. I think he's gonna be lights out for us, and it should be good.
Our next question comes from Brandon Caputo. Brandon, you're live.
I just had one quick one for Coach. You scored 25 goals in the 4 games against Barrie, and you're going up against a team that didn't give up more than 2 goals in any of the 4 games they played against the Kitchener Rangers in the last round. So I guess what's the message as you go into a series, knowing that it's a very good defensive team over there, but also knowing that your team can put up some goals, and maybe that's something that you're going to try to break through?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the message since I took over, really, that, right from December, we got to start trying and focusing on scoring, April and May goals in December. And that's, not the tic-tac-toe, not the pretty goals, not the individual goals, is a 5-man unit trying to get, I mean, I sound like I'm on CBC, but trying to get bodies and pucks to the net and traffic and make the goaltender's life miserable. I think that's part of our identity. That's the way we play. It's the way we found success. If you look at the goals that we've scored, it's primarily in that area. Obviously the power play is a whole different animal, but 5-on-5, it's a 5-man attack, deer involved, and we're just trying to get outnumbered situations with pucks and traffic to the net.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brandon. We go back to Doug Boyd with Rogers TV. Doug, go ahead.
Thanks, Josh. Coach, knowing that you had a week off between the last game and the final, how much does that help for rest? And especially knowing you have a back-to-back games on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, it's critical. I think, for the most part, we've managed everybody's time, even in the regular season, in terms of rest, in terms of back-to-backs, and tried to give everybody a lighter workload. Obviously, in the playoffs, that's impossible to do. So some guys eating some big minutes. Getting that time away from the rink to just mentally recharge has been huge, even for myself. But now, we're back to work here this week, regular schedule, just trying to continue in our routine to focus on some details that we believe are going to help us be successful. And, just trying to show up game one on the front foot.
And just for Ben, just tell us, go over the message when you guys let the three OAs go over to accept the Bobby Orr trophy. Just what was the decision behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've put their their blood and tears, everything into this league. It's their last, kick of the can to go for it. And I think, it means a lot to them for them to, go up there and accept that trophy. Obviously that's, the trophy that we don't, we're not satisfied with that, the end of the day. We want the J Ross, obviously. So but yeah, I feel like they've put so much work into this league and trying to get to the championship and I think it was really important for them to go up there and accept that trophy.
Thanks, Doug. I'll close it with one more for myself. Ben, being a good Madoc boy, growing up, following the NHL, I have to think it's an exciting time for Leafs fans out there, with their team advancing to the second round. And what's more, on the nights where they don't play, they've got two of their own first round picks going head to head. Is it kind of cool to be going up against Easton Cowan in this series?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. He's a great player. I got to know him pretty well at training camp. But I mean, when you're on the ice, there's no friends out there. So yeah, looking forward to playing against him. Should be fun.
First question for you, Dale. Obviously, having seen 12 consecutive playoff wins from your team, going into a series against an Oshawa team that maybe you're a little bit less familiar with, does that lend confidence to you, even though you're not familiar with your next opponent, just the way you guys are playing against all comers right now?
No, it's just it's a top team from the East, and we're the top team from the West. So it's the best two teams are going to battle out in the series.
And Denver, from your perspective, obviously watching the portion of that last series from up in the stands, it's a bit of a two-part question. First of all, how hard is it to sit there and watch? But also, is it a different vantage point just to see how good you guys really are as a team, even without you in the lineup?
Yeah, obviously, you never really want to sit in the stands and watch a game. Injuries holding you out. You get antsy, and you just want to get out there and make a difference. So in terms of that, obviously, it sucks watching in the crowd, but we got a great team, a resilient group, and a lot of guys that have worked all year, for this moment. And I think that last series when I got hurt, guys stepped up and it just really showed our depth and guys willing to buy in and step up. So, it was good to see from, sitting in the crowd.
Our first question this afternoon will come from radio voice of the London Knights, Mike Stubbs on AM 980. Mike, you're live.
All right, Denver, maybe you could just talk a little bit about the closeness of this team, because you go back, you have so many players who have been through 3 runs to a championship series. What is that like to kind of go through that and know this is maybe the last chance a lot of you who've been on that journey will have to kind of do something really special?
Yeah, no, it's pretty special to, share this experience with those guys and, go to the finals, three years in a row and, lose one and then win one. It's been a cool experience for all of us. And, I think all of our eyes are set on this year, and that's what we're focused on. We want to win again this year.
Thanks. And then maybe Dale, if you could just talk about the fact that both of these teams have the ability to be really offensive, really defensive, good goaltending. What does it come down to when it's the last 2 teams standing?
Well, it just comes down to who executes at the right time and who scores a big goal, gets a big save, and it comes down to team play, who can chip in with big goals.
Okay. Dale, because of the 3 sweeps, you've gotten a routine after each round. How much does that help? And what do the 3 sweeps at this point of year when everybody's kind of tired and it's springtime and all that and warm out, how did the sweeps help?
Well, we get all banged up. Everybody gets banged up. Oshawa had a sweep too, so we're on the same page. We both had a bunch of days off, so both teams are going to be rested and ready to go.
Okay, but the routine of the three, like, have you been able to have extra practice time that you probably never had in previous playoffs kind of thing?
We just basically keep the schedule as much as we can, and because it's a routine and players are used to it.
Okay, Denver, how good is that Oshawa first line, and what do you guys got to do to shut them down?
Yeah, obviously, they got some high-end talent guys that can put plays together and score goals, in bunches. So I think just focusing on the details, locking in, defensively, making sure when they're out there, kind of thing, and try our best, execute our system, and should be able to shut them down.
Our next question comes from Brandon Caputo at the Armchair GM Sports Network. Brandon, you're live.
My first question's for Coach Dale Hunter. Coach, can you just speak to what Noah Reed's brought to the team? 10th round pick in 2023 has really developed for you guys as sort of a middle six winger so far in the playoffs, stepping up. It's 26 points in the regular season, but then 4 goals so far in the playoffs. As a guy that played in Junior B last year, what's impressed you about Noah Reed so far in his rookie season?
No, he's been good. We've had some injuries and stuff and suspensions, and he stepped in all year for us and moved up lines, and he can play both ends. He scored some goals for us, but he also can play good D. So he he supported he learned the systems very quick, and that's why he can move up lines very quickly.
And one for Denver. What's been sort of the biggest adjustment for you watching from a different lens? And, as far as the captaincy off the ice, how have you kind of moved that forward since you're not able to be on the ice with the guys? And who's kind of a player that, in your mind, that's been stepping up in your absence?
I think everyone has really stepped up, since I got hurt. And, it was cool to see everyone step up and, close out that series in 4 games against Kitchener. And then other than that, just trying to focus on myself, continue to get better and just lead off the ice, lead in the room, be positive and, kind of goes throughout the room when you have a positive attitude and, you bring positive energy.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brandon. Our next question comes from Mike Moriali at NHL.com. Mike, you're live.
Got me, Josh?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thanks, Josh. 2 questions. One for Dale to start off. Thanks for doing this, Dale in Denver. Dale, how has Henry Brustovich settled in to come into his own this season over last year?
Well, last year we had to use him up front a few times, but this year, since the get-go, he's been in our top 4D, stepped in when the World Junior guys, Bonk and Dickinson, went to the World Juniors, had to be a number 1D and number 2D for us. So he stepped up, kept getting better and better, and he's been very good all year for us.
In Denver, what would be your advice to Henry, his draft-eligible year here, and what is he like off the ice? And in your opinion, what does he bring to the ice?
He's really respectful, hardworking kid. Loves the game, loves to learn. Shows up to the rink every day with a smile on his face, and when he gets out there, he makes plays, but he works hard and. Most importantly, buys into the system and plays, a team game. And if I had any advice for him, just, enjoy the whole draft year process. You kind of only get to go through it once. So, enjoy it. And, NHL teams love winners. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next question will come from Doug Boyd with Rogers Television. Doug, you can go ahead.
Yeah, for Dale, just tell me about going up against Oshawa, a rematch from last year's final. What do you expect to see differently from this year's team compared to last year's team?
Well, again, we're a little older and they're a little older. Their top end guys are basically the same age as our top end guys now, and they're just going to be a battle. They're going to battle hard, and we're going to battle. And again, whoever executes is going to win.
And same question for you, Denver.
Sorry, what was the question?
Just what do you expect to see from this year's team compared to last year's team from the final?
Nothing really other than, I think just kind of enjoying the moment, staying present and, taking the series day by day. It's two top teams going at it. There's going to be ups and downs, and just stay level headed and take the series day by day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Just one quickly from myself, and this one's for Dale. Dale, you've had a lot of goaltenders come through London. Obviously, Austin Elliott brought in off waivers as a longtime Western League goaltender this year, but I don't feel like enough people really talk about the fact that he's 44-1. I mean, it really, it doesn't matter how good the team is in front of you. To go 44-1 is quite an achievement, and it has to say something about how good of a goaltender he's been for you.
From the get-go, since he got here, he's been one of the hardest workers in practice. He stays in there, works at his game. You could just see him gaining confidence and getting confidence from working hard in practice, and good things happen in the game.
Thank you. I see Ryan Pyette still has his hand up. So, Ryan, I'm going to come back to you here. Do you have anything further there, Ryan?
Always, Josh. Always. Denver, do you guys have a mental edge because you won last year?
No, I'd say we're just taking it day by day. They're a whole new team this year. They got a lot of new players that bring different styles. So, no, I wouldn't say mental edge. Obviously, they got some motivation because we beat them last year, but we want to win just as bad.